Leader Talk blog, only on CNBC.com.
Well, one of the themes of this year's G20 summit has been the development of small and medium enterprises. And if there is one thing business and global leaders agree on, it's that SMEs are key to job creation and the economic recovery. Carrie and Georgie are standing by in Seoul with a look at efforts to boost the smaller players. Hi, Carrie.
Hi, Oriel. We talk a lot about rich nations, and the G20 has often been criticizing for neglecting the rest of the world. But as you pointed out, most people are employed by small and medium-term enterprises, and most economies are driven by these companies. Well, the G20 has launched what they call an SME challenge, financial challenge, and President Barack Obama, together with some of the other leaders of the G20, will be awarding several companies that have taken the lead in the initiative to bring more money to these small and medium-sized enterprises. I'm joined now here at the G20 Summit with Bailey Klinger, CEO of Entrepreneur Finance Lab. Bailey, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I understand you got this idea to start your company while you were a PhD student at Harvard. And tell me how it works. Does it bring money to entrepreneurs that might otherwise not get the funding?
Exactly. The basic idea behind our idea is that the money is there. Banks in developing countries have significant amounts of capital, and they want to lend to SMEs. But that lending just isn't happening because banks have very little information with which they can assess risk. We fill that gap, the gap left by little credit history and collateral, by evaluating the entrepreneur directly using a psychometric test.
Which bank in particular are you working with, and how has that helped individual people and small companies?
So we've been testing this technology out for the last 3 years now across Latin America and Africa. And just recently this year it's been launched by Standard Bank, South Africa's largest bank, in South Africa, in Kenya, in Nigeria, in Ghana, and in Zambia. In each of those countries, they're going to be lending out, across all of them, a total of about $20 million to SMEs that traditionally would be rejected because they don't have the credit history and the collateral that banks usually require.
So give me a sneak peek about this test, this 30-minute test that you do to evaluate potential entrepreneurs. What would you ask them?
I mean, it basically asks the type of things that if you were doing an interview with a small business owner and you were assessing their entrepreneurial ability, you would kind of pick out subjectively. Things like drive, things like intelligence, things like motivation, locus of control, whether or not they feel like the future is under their control. It measures these things, but in an automated, objective way. And that's what's important, because for SME lending, you're talking about a large number of smaller loans. So the key is scalable. And this type of technology is very scalable.
What's the success-failure rate? Have people gone through your test? You've said, okay, maybe these are good to go, but then it's turned out sour?
So what our tests have shown is that this type of tool on clients that are traditionally already accepted can reduce default by an additional 25 to 40% on top of what banks can already achieve. So the tests so far have shown very good predictive power, on par with credit scoring models for corporate borrowers, but without the information requirements.
Great. It sounds like something for the developed countries and the bigger companies as well.
More so every day, it seems, yes.
Thanks so much for joining us. Bailey Klinger, CEO of the Entrepreneur Finance Lab, joining us here at the G20. He will be meeting with U.S. President Barack Obama later in the day to receive his award. Oriel, back to you.
All right, Carrie, great to have you with us. Thanks for joining us. Well, coming up next on Cash Flow, China's central bank is asking